That's a little bit weird for me for a 29-year-old woman to be calling somebody else mama and daddy when you got a mama and daddy, just assuming that her parents haven't passed away. I don't know. I'm just not calling nobody else mama and daddy. I don't know. Hey y'all, welcome and/or welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae, if you didn't know, and today's video is another true crime episode. So if you're ready, let's go. All right, y'all. So before we get into today's video, I did my nails. I was feeling kind of Halle Berry Coco-ish with the length this week. I mean, definitely not as long as theirs were, but that's where, this is as long as I'm willing to go. I didn't really feel like doing too much. I really been in my what is that called? I don't really even know what to call it, but it's very simple era. My very basic era. My very meek. Is that the word? I don't know. Nonetheless, I'm feeling a little dainty. Nothing too much, basically. So yeah, that's what I did this week. Now, moving right along. So I know that I've been saying this for a little minute, and my sister kind of called me out on it. But you know what? I need that kind of accountability in my life, so thanks. But I know that I've been telling y'all for a long time that I'm going to do a Q&A, right? But I really honestly just never feel like I have enough questions to do said Q&A. So I decided that I'm going to do a Q&A after I complete a case for Missouri, because that's halfway through the 50 states. Missouri is the 25th state, so I'm gonna do Missouri, then I'm gonna do my Q&A, and then we're gonna continue on with doing the states in alphabetical order. So from here to Missouri, y'all please ask away. And the Q&A that I want to do, I don't know if I said it already, but the type of Q&A I want to do it Hot Ones style. So if y'all have never seen Hot Ones, basically the person who is being interviewed eats hot wings, and the wings get progressively hotter as the show goes on. And I kind of want to do that just because, I don't know, I feel like as the wings get hotter, the more honest the answers get. And I mean, I'm going to be honest either way. I'm going to be honest whether I eat the wings or not, but I really just want to do it that way. I don't know. Anyway, but we obviously going to be doing more than 10 questions. It's going to be 10 wings, but it's going to be more than 10 questions, okay? And I will have a little guest feature on there. I'm going to have my husband ask me the questions. So, yeah, that's the idea. So ask away. Please, 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 please. Throw your questions in the comments below. And one last thing before we get into today's case, I just need to tell y'all that I had a little bit of a hard time finding a case for Delaware, because every time I would look up a case for Delaware, it always ended up saying something about Philadelphia. And I'm like, no, that's not where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go to Delaware. And then I looked at a map and I realized that Delaware and Philadelphia are very close together. I did not know that. Don't come for me and my geography of the United States of America, because I could probably name a lot of states, but it'd be Middle America and then the East Coast that I don't know. Give me the South, give me the West, and a little piece of the Midwest, and I got you. Kinda, maybe. I'm learning as I go. But yeah, had no idea that Delaware and Pennsylvania were that close in proximity. But with all of those things out of the way, let's go ahead and get into today's case. And today we are in Newcastle, Delaware with a woman named Mary Anderson. And at the time that this case takes place, Mary is a 61-year-old married woman with 2 kids from a previous marriage, some stepkids, and some grandkids. And before we get deep into the details of this case, I just want to tell y'all a little bit about Mary. So she was born in 1943 in Washington, D.C. to her parents, Samuel and Margaret Nash. And growing up in the household, it was just her and her brother, who was also named Sam. And the family lived in Arlington, Virginia. And this is where Mary graduated from Wakefield High School. And she continued her education after high school at the Medical College of Richmond. And this is where she got her bachelor's degree of science in nursing. And let me tell you something. I don't know what nursing school was like back when she was in nursing school, but baby, I know that by the time I got to nursing school, it was no joke. Do you hear me? That's why I'm not a nurse today. Because the way pharmacology kicked my behind. Yeah. I really wish I would have passed that course though, because I could see me as a labor and delivery nurse right now. That was always my dream. But this ain't about me. We're not talking about Janae today. We talking about Mary. And Mary completed her education, and she did go on to become a nurse. And I'm guessing that while she was in college, this is when she met her first husband, and his name is Lawrence Agnew, Agnew. But yeah, I'm assuming that's when she met Lawrence. And on June 26, 1965, the two got married and moved to Springfield, Illinois. And this is where Mary and Lawrence had their two children, a son named James and a daughter named Margaret. And I really just think it's cute how they are keeping the name Margaret in the family, because Mary's mom name is Margaret, remember. Mary's name is Mary Margaret Nash. Well, Agnew at the time. And now she has named her daughter after her grandmother. So I don't know if Margaret got any kids at this point, but baby Margaret needs to be in that daughter's name somewhere. Okay, keep it going, we love that. Unfortunately though, the marriage between Lawrence and Mary didn't work out, and the couple would end up getting divorced. And although Mary was heartbroken by this, she wasn't worried about nothing, because one thing about Mary, she was a woman of God. And she knew that whatever was supposed to happen in her life, God had it covered. And if she was to have another husband, he would be sent her way. And the sent he was in the form of a man named John Anderson. Now, I don't know when or how she and John met, but I do know that in 1991, the two tied the knot. And I really don't know too much about John and his life prior to meeting Mary, but I do know that he was born in 1942. He had a couple of kids, and he was a college math professor at the University of Delaware. And by the way, Mary ended up moving to Delaware at some point in her life. I don't know if it was before she met John. I don't know if that's where she met John, or if she moved after she met John. But at some point, the two of them ended up in Delaware. And that is where the rest of today's case takes place. But in any event, I'm almost positive that one of the reasons that Mary fell in love with John was because he was a God-fearing man. Because being a devout Christian, I'm sure Mary wasn't marrying no man who did not have the fear of God within. And with that being said, the couple attended a church called Christianity United Methodist Church. And this is where they met a young lady named Jing. And she was a 29-year-old woman who was married to a 33-year-old auto mechanic named Victor. Now, I know I just said that Mary and John had met Jing at the church, but Jing was only a new face to Mary. Because remember, I told y'all that John was a math professor at the University of Delaware. Well, Jing was a previous student of his. And so when he saw Jing at the church, he like, oh my gosh, Jing, my old student. So he introduces Jing to Mary like, hey Mary, this is my old student, Jing. Jing, this is my wife, Mary. And the same with Jing and her husband, Victor. Jing is like, hey Victor, this is my old math professor, John. John, this is my husband, Victor. And from there, the two couples started mixing and mingling and just enjoying each other's companies. And I kind of want to say that John and Mary kind of became like a mentor couple to Jing and Victor, being that they were an older couple and Jing and Victor were a younger couple. So like I said, the two couples would have game nights together. They would go out to eat together. They really just all enjoyed each other's company. But eventually, it just started to be more or less Jing going out with the couple and not Victor. I don't know why that was. I don't know if he just like didn't want to go, or if he just couldn't go, or I don't know. But nonetheless, it was more or less started to be just Jing going out with the couple, doing the date nights, doing the board games, and going to their house for dinner, etc., etc. And Jing would be around so much that she would eventually start calling John and Mary mom and dad, which I don't know, that's a little bit weird for me for a 29-year-old woman to be calling somebody else mama and daddy when you got a mama and daddy, just assuming that her parents haven't passed away. I don't know. I'm just not calling nobody else mama and daddy. I don't know. But anyways, they were literally like a second set of parents for her. But eventually Mary started to notice that John and Jing were spending a little bit too much time together for her own comfort. And she confronted John like, listen, I know that we've taken in this young lady as like a second, third, or fourth daughter. I really don't know how many kids they had as a collective, but I know we've taken this young lady in as a daughter, but y'all starting to spend a little bit too much time together, and I don't like that. And John just assured her that Jing just needed mentorship. It was nothing. That was his old student. It was nothing. But is it ever really nothing though? Is it ever really nothing? But whatever, Mary takes John at his word and life continues. So February 2nd, 2005 rolls around and John is off on a work trip to California. Well, actually, he on his way back from California. I don't know if it was a work trip, but he's on his way back from a trip to California. And on his way back, he tries to call Mary. However, Mary doesn't answer the phone. And this is a little bit concerning because he typically knew Mary's routine. He knew when she would be home, when she wouldn't. And I don't know if Mary had a cell phone, just given her age and the time that it was. But nonetheless, he's calling, and he's not getting an answer. So he's trying to hurry up and get home to see what's up, like why Mary not answering the phone. And once he gets home and opens the front door, he sees why Mary was not answering his phone calls. And that was because Mary was lying in the foyer of their home, deceased. It was clear that she had suffered from multiple stab wounds and her throat being cut. And seeing this, John called the police ASAP. And once they get there, it's very clear to them that there's nothing that they can do to save Mary. And so the investigation ensues right away. And right away, they notice that there's no signs of forced entry. And the house looks like it's in relatively good condition. Like nothing is scattered about or anything like that. But once they make it to the bedroom, that's when they see that it has been ransacked. And Mary's purse is empty. There's nothing in there. And they also note that Mary's wedding rings are also missing. So initially, this looks like a robbery turned murder. And they come across a clue pretty quickly, which is bloody footprints in the snow. And these footprints, once, measured and molded, come out to be a size 11. But other than the ransacking and the bloody footprints, there's no other evidence that the detectives are able to collect right away. But being that there was no forced entry, y'all already know that it indicates that Mary potentially knew her attacker. So obviously John is the #1 suspect. However, he actually seems devastated and distraught that he just found his wife of 13 years murdered in their home. But, the detectives have to question him anyway. And he ended up divulging to the detectives that he and Jing actually had been having an affair for the past 8 months. And that Mary, she thought she knew, but she didn't really know. And so, since she didn't know for sure, she still allowed Jing to come around her and John. And the night prior to John coming back home from California, Jing was set to go to their house and have dinner with Mary. So now the detectives know that Jing is potentially the last person to have seen Mary alive. And this, coupled with the fact that she was having an affair with Mary's husband, they needed to talk to her right now. So they bring Jing in for an interview, and she does confirm that she did in fact go and have dinner with Mary on February 1st. And she said that they had dinner, they chit-chatted for a while, it was all good, everything was good, and she left the home. And when she left the home, Mary was alive and well. And Mary had even called Jing while she was on her way home to make sure that she would make it home safely. And Jing said that while they was on the phone, Mary had suspected that somebody was outside of her house, and she decided to go and check it out. And then that's when Mary got off the phone with Jing to go check out somebody outside possibly. And that was the last time that Jing heard from Mary. Now, being that Jing was also married, they wanted to look into Victor. Maybe Victor had found out about the affair between Jing and John, and he wanted to go confront John. But when he got there, John wasn't there, and Mary just became a casualty in a plot to murder John. Because Jing don't wear a size 11 shoe, so it's unlikely that she was the culprit, right? So when they bring Victor in to talk to him, they know that this man got a size 11 shoe. So they questioned Victor about his whereabouts on the night of February 1st. And he said, no. It was not me. I was at home. I was minding my business. I was taking care of some business on my computer. Y'all got the wrong guy. And during a forensic analysis of Victor's computer, they find out that he is indeed telling the truth. He was at home working on his computer at the time of the murder. And so now they stumped and stumbled, because then who could have done this? But they convinced that this murder has something to do with the affair between Jing and John. And so they go back to Jing and ask her to take a polygraph test, which she agrees to do, and which she also fails miserably. Now, we already know that polygraphs are not admissible in court, but they do give detectives a strong side eye against the person who fails them, right? And Jing just failed. So they divulged this information to her like, girl, that polygraph test that you just took, I don't know if you thought you was gonna pass, but baby, you did not. You failed with flying colors. And she was like, oh, damn, fuck. I guess I don't want to talk to y'all no more. But I will talk to John if he's available. So they like, all right, bet. She don't want to talk to us no more. Let's see what she say to John. So they allow John into the interrogation room with Jing. And John tells Jing that he needs to know what happened to Mary to heal his heart. And Jing breaks down. She tells John everything. She just confessed straight up to John. She was like, this is what she said. She said that she went over to the house to have dinner with Mary. And during the course of that dinner, she told Mary, like, look, me and John been fooling around. And me and John want to have a happy life without you in it. And I really don't know if she thought Mary was just going to be like, oh, okay, girl, no problem. Have some more chicken. But that's not what happened. Mary bucked back. And being a God-fearing woman, I feel like Mary didn't cuss at her, but she probably did say something like, look here, you little Jezebel. I've been with this man for 13 years, and ain't no way I'm about to let you come slithering here like the snake of Satan and take him from me. Girl, get the hell out of my house. Right? I feel like that's kind of how it went. I don't know, but that's just my thoughts. So after Mary didn't just take this information lying down, the two of them ended up getting into a heated argument. And I don't know what else was said or what else happened, but Jing decided to go to the kitchen and grab a knife and attacked Mary. And after she attacked her, Jing decided that she needed to stage this. So she went in Mary's purse and took everything. She took Mary's wedding rings and she ransacked the room to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. And then she took it a step further because she went home, got a pair of Victor's shoes, the size 11, and then went back to the Anderson household, stepped in Mary's blood in them, and then walked outside to, I guess, create a red herring. Is that what it's called? A red herring? Whatever it's called. She did that to try to throw the investigators off. And after literally watching her on the camera confess to John in this interrogation room, they promptly arrested her ass and charged her with first-degree murder. However, even though she was charged with first-degree murder, she ended up pleading guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder. And on June 2nd, 2006, she was handed down a 30-year prison sentence without the possibility of parole. So she'll be released in 2036, I believe, and she'll be 60 years old. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, y'all, that is all I have for today's case. Thank you all so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to ask y'all questions in the comments of this video to Missouri. And I will see you all next week when we are in Florida. Crooked. Oh my gosh. This part is really about to piss me off. Cause who's looked in the mirror and said this shit was straight? I did. I swear I'm not a crackhead. That was the scariest time of my life when I almost had to fight a crackhead. Woo. Anyway. Whatever. Girl, you be talking too much. You be trying to tell too much. You be trying to say too much that don't nobody even care about. So thank you for that. I'm going to answer your questions. And no. You talking too much again, girl. Oh my God. I had no idea that Delaware and Is it Pennsylvania? Philadelphia? No, Philadelphia is the city. Pennsylvania is the state. And today we are in Newcastle, Delaware. And I was about to say Connecticut. Is there Newcastle, Connecticut? No, there's a New Haven, Connecticut. I don't know. Again, geography. And this is where Mary graduated high school. And this is where... And on June 26th of 1965, Lawrence and Mary would get married. No, let's say that backwards because I don't like the way that sounds. Okay. But Jing started spending more time. And Jing started to be around so much that she would eventually start calling Mark. No. Who's Mark? And Mary's rings, her marital, no. And,